Speaking of Philadelphia, let me
Oh,
touch on the team that matters the most around here.
Did something happen?
Howie
yeah.
Roseman sucks. I've completely turned heel on Howie because I think he took what could have been a 5 to 10 year run at constant competitive and being a top dog in the NFC. I think he ruined, and I think it shows when you were so horrible when injuries hit hard and you keep signing injury prone players and you keep and then you keep signing guys who are just brutally below average to back those guys up. I think it showed a huge weakness in Howie, and I still think it was a mistake keeping him over Doug and Wentz. But now to that man, Wentz. I'm wearing his jersey for the audio listeners. I'm wearing the Carson Wentz jersey today in honor of him because I love Wentz because the man can literally do nothing but say the right thing, do the right thing, and the media still absolutely bashes him. And he literally does it. Even his farewell to Philadelphia was incredible. I read that and I was like, man, you just made it okay. It's like you just like you broke up with me and you just made me feel better. What the heck? Like you shouldn't be doing that. So the Eagles got a second round pick this year, or a third round pick this year, and a second that could turn into a first next year from the Colts if he plays 70% of the snaps, 75% of the snaps. I didn't love the compensation at first. I think we could have done better. I've come down on that since the trade. I think it's actually pretty fair for a guy who played historically horrible last year, even though still, I think you are completely wrong if you think that most of that was on him. I think he is a fraction of the amount of problems we had. The media narrative, I put it on our Get Back Guys Twitter, but the media narrative did exactly what I thought it would the day he got traded. Was now the Colts are serious contenders. Wentz will finally have what he's never had in Philly, which is a great offensive line, great receivers. Not true, because the 1 year they were consistently strong and healthy, and he was pure dominance he had. And every year after, it's been back and forth shaky to just horrific. I will miss Wentz. I think the Colts got a steal. If he can get back to maybe not a steal, but they got their guy for the next 5 to 10 years. If he can be anything back to what he was, which I think he will be. Frank Reich knows him. Frank Reich gets him. He'll always be loved with me in Philly. And it hurt me more than anything, just because it was finally a quarterback we could rally behind. The team finally was getting a high draft pick. They traded up twice to get him. And a lot of people have been saying the return was not enough in what we traded up to get Wentz for what to happen now. I think the fact that Wentz is huge and getting that Super Bowl, it was worth it. Trading up was worth it because in that time we got a Super Bowl. We don't get that without Carson Wentz. So I am heartbroken because it was the first quarterback we had drafted really since McNabb with such a high pick. I got to really rally behind him because I loved Mike Vick's comeback story. Sam Bradford, I never really got behind. Foles, I got behind in that Super Bowl run, but he was okay. And, that game against Oakland where he threw 7 touchdowns. Nick Foles is the ultimate enigma of the NFL.
True.
But if we, Hurts, I think Hurts can ball out. If Hurts can be that guy and really sell me this year, if he is the starter, then I'm all for it. If we go out and draft a guy like Justin Fields or what's the guy? Zach something. What's his name?
Trey Lance.
Zach
Wilson.
Zach Wilson or Trey Lance are the other two names I was going to mention. Those two are guys that people are saying are options for Philly at 6. I would rather roll with Hurts for a year, and I'd rather bring in I'd rather bring in like Jameis Winston or Cam Newton and let them compete in a camp.
Cam Newton in an Eagles helmet. Oh, that looks so good.
Honestly, though, I think Jalen Hurts beats
Cam
Newton out. I think Jalen Hurts beats Cam Newton out in camp.
Well, the Cam Newton it depends if we get the Cam Newton who played in the Seattle game, maybe not. But if we get the rest of Cam Newton last year,
taking shots now.
He's not.
I wouldn't mind Jacoby Brissett or Tyrod Taylor coming over to help Hurts. I think would be great for Philly. But I do think the move is to roll with Hurts this year and see what you really have and bring in like a guy, try to get Josh Rosen over, bring in somebody like that who could get a chance to start if, to really give him a fair shot, and then go get a wide receiver, go get Waddle or Chase if he falls. Like, go get one of those guys and build like a really good team. And then if Hurts doesn't work out this year and we're bad, we're in a really good position with a bunch of skill players to go get another quarterback. But then again, if you think you have your guy for the next 10 years, you got to take him. That's what they did with Wentz. And clearly it paid off because we got a Super Bowl out of it. But, it's a bittersweet day. Loved Carson, first jersey I'd bought in a long time. Now I don't know who I'm going to get. We cut Alshon Jeffrey today. Thank God. I was so sick of him. Just wasting money. I never wanted him to begin with. We got him on a cheap deal in 2017. I was like, all right, wow, it surprised me. I'm okay with this now. Because I was always, and he played great in the Super Bowl. And when the rumor was Philly was interested in him, I said no, because he's injury prone. He's really not that good as a number one. He's a solid number two, but he really needs a real good player opposite him. And he's always hurt. And so I don't want to spend a lot of money on a guy who's going to demand a lot of money, who's always hurt. And then we signed him for cheap for a 1-year deal. And I was like, this is awesome. He balled out that year. And I mean, he didn't have 1,000 yards, but he balled out pretty well. And he played awesome in the Super Bowl. They gave him a 4-year extension. I was like, he balled out. Hopefully he can stay it. And then he went right back to the player I thought he was. And so that's been a bummer. Deshaun almost wore his jersey, but I wanted to give Wentz the respect because I've worn Deshaun so much. But Deshaun Jackson, we cut as well. Love Deshaun. Love him forever and always. I just wish he had been healthy because I think he would have been really good for us if he had just been able to be the healthy he'd been most of his career, where he misses 3 to 4 games a year instead of he's played 8 he's played 6 in the last 2 years or something like that. And that's just a huge bummer. Part of it was, I still think Doug's coaching, but gonna miss those guys. I'm ready. It is a little fun starting over, but it's a bummer. It's bittersweet. Although clearly hiring Nick Sirianni was not about fixing Wentz, because the whole media narrative was it's all about fixing Wentz. Which coach is going to fix Carson Wentz? Clearly, that was never the plan. And I hope, and I would bet that Jeffrey Lurie knew that hiring Nick, that he knew hey, if we do end up keeping Carson, would you be able to work with him and whatnot? And Nick, I think, clearly sold that the best. But if you guys don't have any thoughts, that's fine. But do you have any thoughts at all about Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I think the Colts perspective is pretty interesting. I'm excited to see what you guys do at quarterback, if you roll with Hurts or if you draft a quarterback. I really like Trey Lance, and so I think that would be an interesting pick.
Like Zach Wilson
6 might be a little high, but I like him a lot. But yeah, the Colts, I think in 3 years, we're either going to look at this trade as really good or wasting an opportunity, because if Wentz gets back to, even the Wentz, 2018, even 2019 Wentz, then it's at least, if they get that Wentz, it's, I think, a good value deal. They probably give up, if he's healthy, they give up a first and a third, probably a good, they gave up
a first.
They probably will end up giving up a similar amount of value. If they get 2017 Wentz, it's a smash hit. But if they get 2020 Wentz, that trade's terrible, especially if they end up giving a first, because if they trade for one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL and you give up a first and a third, everyone's gonna be like, you just wasted a brilliant offensive line that you've built. You've got some good young receivers. You got a really talented defense. You just wasted
Great run game.
Yeah. Or they're going to be looking at it and saying, Carson Wentz, you took a gamble that ended up working and you gave up a good price for him. So I think it's going to be really interesting, because I'm just curious to see how Wentz plays, because if he doesn't adjust, he's either going to really get back and play really well, or he's just going to keep spiraling, I think. And so I think the first handful of weeks is going to be really interesting watching the Colts.
I want to say too, I want to watch every Colt game next year. I'm not a Colts fan. It's similar how I feel with Chiefs and Cardinals, where every week I try to watch their games with my Eagle game, because I just really like those teams. But I'm going to probably try my best to watch every single Colt game. I usually have a few games on. I try not to do that when it's the Eagle game, but if the Colts are playing, I'm going to put them up on the other TV, just because I want to see how Carson Wentz balls out. I want to see what we lost. It'd be real crazy to watch the two. I mean, I just hope whoever we get is good. I just don't want to be bad forever. Give me this 1 year off, and then let's get back to it in 2022. Kyle, you have any thoughts?
Well, this trade, at least from the Colts side, it just makes me love the GM of the Colts, Chris Ballard, all the more so because I think it's kind of like what Nick said. Like right now, this trade looks brilliant. Like if they can get, at best 2018 Wentz and even better 2017 Wentz, so that team could really be shooting for the stars and be in contention for Super Bowls. And they wouldn't have to give up too much in order for that to happen. But if down the road, if that's not what ends up happening, that's really unfortunate, and that's not a good look for the Colts organization. But I don't know. I have a good feeling about Wentz and that situation with the Colts. At least I think that they have a smart coaching staff built in there, and I feel like Frank Reich could be able to get Wentz to come back down to earth a bit and just be able to regroup and rethink on his mechanics. And I could see that really working out to where he could be looking a lot better than he did last year. And with the Eagles,
sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you.
Oh,
go,
well, I'll just finish up with the Eagles by saying that it is unfortunate, like just for 2-3 years ago, for going from a Super Bowl caliber team to just having to blow it up and do it all over again. Like that really sucks, but it's probably the right call to do in general. Like it does make me feel a little bit less about Howie Roseman than I did previously, but it's just one of those things that might have been inevitable regardless. So it probably sucks a lot, and I feel for your Alex, but this could also be a really good thing for your team moving forward.
Yeah, two things off of that real quick, and then we can move over to our offseason. One is, yes, they got Frank Reich over there, my boy, but who do you got left? We took everybody. Nick Sirianni, DC. We took everybody from that staff. We took them all, baby. We're rolling with the Colts offense now. And I do like Nick because he worked really well with Andrew Luck and then Jacoby and then Phillip Rivers this year. And then we got the QB coach from who just made Herbie Sherby a stud muffin to be our offensive coordinator. So we're in a good position here. And the NFL is my second thing here. The NFL is such a what have you done for me lately thing. It's just like movies. Because Kyle and I are Kyle and I are such big fans, and Kyle and I have another YouTube channel about movies of fans of movies, and that industry is such of what have you done for me lately, and so is sports. Howie Roseman for the last 3 years has been a top 3 GM in football. He's been widely considered one of the best GMs in football, and now he's considered one of the worst, and I don't like him. The second that team gets into the playoffs, he makes the trade that ends up, being the serious one. I'm all back in on Howie Roseman. Like I'm all back in on him. All is forgiven. It's such a what have you done for me lately league, and that's the same thing with Hurts. Hurts go win games. Now I'm going to love you plenty, bud. Even if I still like Carson. But anyway,